Listen, it's no secret that teaching preschoolers isn't easy peasy. It's full of ups and downs with lots of bumps along the way. And these bumps, they leave you exhausted from trying to find a balance between work and life. And you just wish somebody would tell you what to teach and when to teach it, so you can find time to do the endless mounds of laundry or cook the occasional meal for your family. Now, if any of this sounds familiar to you, I want you to know that you're not alone. In fact, more than 50% of the applicants to my Teaching Trailblazers program last week said that finding the time to figure out what to teach and when to teach it was one of their biggest challenges. If you can relate, then you're in the right place, because in this week's episode of Elevating Early Childhood, I'll be sharing my top 3 secret tips for teaching the standards that will help you teach better, save time, and live more. So be sure to stick around so you don't miss any of these important tips. But first, I'm going to start with a little backstory to set the stage. You see, many states in the U.S. have academic standards for public pre-kindergarten programs, and some even have guidelines for infant and toddler teachers too. But the thing about those state standards is they don't tell you how to teach the content. And the standards only have the outcomes listed, not when the content should be taught in the school year. Another thing the standards don't have are the developmental milestones and child development info included. And then there's the big question of who wrote the state standards? Sure, maybe there were a few teachers on the state committee, but that doesn't always mean the standards will truly reflect how young children's brains learn and grow. And don't even get me started on boxed curriculum. Now, I'm sure you already know this, but pre-K programs received money from the state provided by the U.S. government to purchase approved curricula that's been vetted by the state, which your school district then distributes to the teachers. Sometimes the box curriculum comes in a really cute, colorful box, and other times it comes in a regular box filled with loose leaf paper. True story. But here's the thing about state-approved curriculum that you might not know. You have to use it for 7 years. Yes, you heard me right. The adoption cycle, or the timeline for approving curriculum, only happens once every 7 years. And any training on the curriculum, aside from the basic unboxing, is typically purchased at the school's expense, which, you guessed it, leaves any new teachers or teachers who were moved down to pre-K after the initial adoption year completely in the dark. So here's a personal story that I'm sure a lot of you out there listening and watching can relate to. So it was 1990 something, and it was my first year teaching public pre-K in Dallas. I had taught elsewhere previously, and we were opening a brand new pre-K center for the school district because they had gone to full-day kindergarten. And most of the teachers on the campuses had decided to remain, the pre-K teachers, to remain and teach kinder since they needed double the numbers. And that left all the pre-K classes to be moved into one building, and they hired all new teachers. And so we were super excited, and we got all new furniture and all kinds of supplies. It was like Christmas every day for like that first week before school. But when it came time to start planning our lessons, we started looking for the curriculum, because when we asked where it was, we were told it's in your classroom. It was delivered. Well, maybe the box came and was delivered to the room, but in most cases, the box was empty because we were almost at the end of our 7-year adoption cycle. So in my case, I had a giant, brightly colored box. It was huge. Kids could hide in this box. It took up a giant piece of my tiny little classroom where I had 22 kids. And inside, there were 2 of those little teddy bear counters and a few books that had so many words in them, and they were so boring. That was it. There was no teacher's manual, there were no manipulatives, there were no lessons, there was nothing, nada, zilch, zero. So that is what the end of the 7-year adoption cycle can look like in a public school pre-K program if the classroom has turned over. So we didn't get any training, we had no materials, we had nothing other than the state guidelines. Okay, you get the picture. So let's move on to those top 3 secret tips that I have to help you meet the standards, right? First up is this Trello board that I created for our Teaching Trailblazer students. So this board links to all of the state standards here in the US if they exist. I was kind of surprised to see that although it's in the 2020s now, that not all the states have them. So if they have them, they are listed in this document. So all you have to do is find your state and then click, and it will take you to your state standards. Because especially new teachers and teachers move down to pre-K often don't know where those state standards live, especially for pre-K because it's kind of its own animal. So that Trello board is available to all of our students 24/7. Next up, we have the printable picture standards, which I created to go along with my pre-K pages Teaching Trailblazer curriculum. Now these standards were compiled using all of the state standards that currently exist. And then we took them and matched them all together so that every standard in all the states was included. And these particular picture standards are super helpful to teachers and parents alike. I think it's much easier to digest information when pictures accompany them, because when we're given a piece of paper with tons of jargon on it and lots of words and text with no pictures, it can be really difficult to digest that information. So this is my attempt at making things easier for you. Now these standards are available inside my Teaching Trailblazers mentorship program because they align with our Trailblazer curriculum. And last but not least is my free Trailblazer guide. So this is my lesson plan book. I have it turned sideways here on the screen for those of you watching along. And the plan book has my Trailblazer guide inside. And now the guide has a table of contents. You don't need to print that if you don't want to. I just wanted to show you what's inside. And again, it's free. So if you need help deciding what to teach and when to teach it, you'll find this Trailblazer guide super helpful. There's also an introduction intro here that you can read. Again, probably no reason to print that unless you want to. But inside the guide, you can see everything is laid out for you week by week. Now, I've had a lot of questions about the Trailblazer over the last few years as it has grown in popularity. And I will say this about it. If you print it, it's just paper, right? And it's a visual for you to follow. If you keep it and download it, each of these little boxes, so it's a grid, if you're listening along, it's a big grid, and it is 6 across and 4 down, so each page equals 1 month of lessons, right? And so you can click on them in the digital version and just download them, or inside of membership. But if you are not a member of the Trailblazers, it'll just take you to the store where you can then purchase them individually. And so you can see it's laid out week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and so on, right? And then it has the literacy. There's a column for literacy, so you always have your literacy activities, your math activities, and these are typically your small group types, literacy and math. It's got your science for the month. It's got your book list for the month. This is super helpful. These are clickable links that will take you to blog posts where it has all the books listed along with clickable links as well. And there's your dramatic play. So if you like to change up your dramatic play, we have, I can't remember if it's 20 or more dramatic play kits that you can get. And then all the nursery rhymes. So the cool thing about the nursery rhymes is we all know that certain curricula these days require them for phonological awareness teaching. And I'm super happy that I've always used nursery rhymes in my classroom. And so maybe that's why this science of reading stuff wasn't really news to me. But now all the gaps have been filled in the nursery rhyme section. So you have some that go for 2 weeks and some that go for 1 week. And then, of course, there are 2 review weeks during the year. The week before winter vacation, nobody's going to want to learn a new nursery rhyme, and the last week of school as well. But you can see going across each of these columns for each week, you've got everything that you need included. Now, once you get past the general weekly outline, you've actually got a section here, and you can use this as is, or you can skip this part if you already know exactly what to teach and when to teach it. It kind of talks about the different concepts in literacy and math that you'll be addressing each week, as well as the science. And I just put little pictures in there of the different curriculum components just to fill up some of the blank space, because not all of the columns were equal. And again, there's clickable links in here in case you need them. And it just goes on for every week of the school year, right? So it just goes on and on like this. And you can use this part. You can print what you want. You don't have to print the entire document because it is rather lengthy. You can just print what you want, or you can keep it in its digital form, and you can just, open it each week and refer to it digitally that way, and then you can click the links as well. So that is what this section looks like. And then this section here is all about setting up the centers in your classroom. And so for each center, I have a page, and it has a colorful photo of my own classroom, as well as a list of materials and a clickable link where you can go to find out more, see more pictures, etc. And so there's one for each of your centers. Again, you don't have to print them if you don't want to, but if you're a new teacher or you're a principal or a director and you want your new teachers to have this information, then you probably are going to want to print that as well. So if you're watching along, we'll put a link directly below this video. If you're watching on YouTube, you need to click Show More in order to get all those links. And there will be a link there to download your free copy of the 2023-2024 Trailblazer Curriculum Pacing Guide that I just showed you on the screen. So now we're going to talk about troubleshooting tips or frequently asked questions, because I get questions about the Trailblazer like crazy during back to school season, which for some of you seems like we just got out of school since I'm recording this in June, but back to school season starts in some places in like 3.5 to 4 weeks. So we have to get a jump on things. And I just wanted to answer some of those questions for you. So one of the top questions I get all the time is the Trailblazer curriculum play-based? Now here's what I always say to that. Everything we do at Pre-K Pages, that's the website that I've had for many, many years, since 2001. Everything we do is based on hands-on, developmentally appropriate, fun and engaging activities for kids. And so is it play-based? I would say yes, because everything that I do, I try to have a 3-dimensional component so kids can put their hands on things, touch things, feel things, all of the things, right? So yes, I would say absolutely. And of course we have our dramatic play kits and our science, and all of those are play-based. So everything in the curriculum, yes, is play-based. Now, how you choose to present it to the children is completely up to you. Now, because the curriculum is so large, you can actually do student-led or student-driven types of planning because there's so much to choose from. So if your kids decided they wanted to learn about cars or things that go or things that have motors, then you could just go directly to the transportation. You don't have to wait for it in the curriculum if you do more of a child-led, child-driven. The next most popular question we started getting the last couple of years is the Trailblazer curriculum aligned with the science of reading? And here's what I have to say to that. If you don't know what science of reading it is, don't worry about it. Not an issue. But if you want to hear more about science of reading in pre-K and how they relate, then we do have 2 podcast episodes, which I will link in the show notes below the video. Or you can go to my YouTube channel here at Pre-K Pages and search for Science of Reading there. But as far as the curriculum goes, I have always had nursery rhymes as a central part of the curriculum. And I'm super pleased to say that those absolutely do support phonological awareness and phonemic awareness skills. And that is really the basis of what science of reading looks like in the pre-K classroom. Now, the most recent nursery rhymes that are included to fill in the gaps that we had previously, those are all like focused literacy, I would call them. I hope that's not a trademark term, but science of reading aligned specifically. And so they're very much about literacy, and they come with a 5-day literacy lesson plan as well. So yes, science of reading aligned. So another popular question I get asked is, what if I don't want just this paper version and I don't just want to access this guide on my desktop, laptop, phone, or whatever? What if I want to get everything and have it at my fingertips? And so that is when the Teaching Trailblazers mentorship program comes in. So here we are inside of the Teaching Trailblazers mentorship program, and I right now am on the curriculum page. And if you scroll down, you can see that the fall unit, we call it the fall unit, but it starts on week 1 of the school year and goes all the way to week 15. And you can see right here that it has all of the things that you will need for each week of the school year right there. And all you do is click on it and it will download right to your computer and you can save it and use it. So you can see there's the literacy, the math, the science, the book list, the dramatic play, and the nursery rhyme, all the way down. And then we do the same thing for each of the other units, and you have everything available to you 24/7 at your fingertips for the entire school year. And when we create new resources that fit into the curriculum, then we add them into the grid here. So for example, I just finished the Jack Be Nimble nursery rhyme, and so that has been inserted into weeks 5 and 6. So if you have my printable Trailblazer curriculum pacing map, this will look familiar to you because it's just like how it appears on paper, except each link just downloads the thing directly to your computer. And our members have access to this all year long and for each of the units. And you don't have to wait for the winter to be released. You can just click on the button and you can go and you can get your winter curriculum resources right away. The last question I saved for the very end is one that I get every single day almost, and that is the Trailblazer program for teachers of 3-year-olds? And to that I say we have many 3-year-old teachers who use our curriculum, and the thing about it is that if I had the time, and maybe I will someday, I hope, to make a 3-year-old Trailblazer, I would totally do it, because I think that the most well-rounded 3-year-old program would consist of nursery rhymes and fairy tales. That would give you an entire year of age-appropriate, hands-on learning and fun that would be completely developmentally appropriate, in my opinion. So the good news is that we do have all of those resources already inside. It's just not that they're laid out in the same manner. So what our 3-year-old teachers like to do is to go in and keep their ages of their children in mind and their ability levels, because not all 3-year-olds are created equally, right? And they pick and choose what they're going to use from the curriculum each week based on their knowledge of their students and their ability levels. And so that's how it works for our 3-year-old teachers currently. And someday I'll have time to create the 3-year-old Trailblazer version. So there you have it. Those are my top 3 secret tips for meeting the standards this school year. If you want to feel confident that you know exactly what to teach and when to teach it to your pre-K students, then join me over in Teaching Trailblazers, where you have access to all the tools you need and more, along with the trusted mentors you deserve, so you can finally get your life back. Until next time, I'm Vanessa Levin. Onward and upward.